Hello everyone, welcome to Nandi. I hope everybody of you are doing well and safe. So today we are going to begin the new session, that is the Hindu Daily Current Affairs. So please like, share and subscribe to our channel Nandi. Let's discuss the first topic, that is center announces hike in MSP, that is minimum support price for paddy, pulses, oil seeds. Let me tell you, this topic is important for your GS2 government policies and interventions and GS3 agricultural pricing. Okay, so this comes in the backdrop of farmers protest in Delhi. So they have been protesting for almost 6 months now against the recently passed agricultural laws. Now the center decided to hike the MSP, right? So they are unhappy with this hike because instead of resolving the issue, right, they increased the MSP prices, right? Let me tell you. Let us discuss what is MSP, right? MSP is a minimum price guarantee that acts as a safety net or insurance for farmers when they sell particular crops. These crops are procured by government agencies at a promised price to farmers, and the MSP cannot be altered in any given situation. Let me tell you, MSP once it is promised cannot be altered in any given situation. The concept of MSP therefore protects the farmers in the country in situations where crop prices fall drastically. So a total of 22 to 23 crops are procured under MSP. So this is about what is MSP. It's basically a minimum guarantee, minimum price guarantee, right? That acts as a safety net or insurance for farmers when prices are reduced. Okay, and it also prevents distress sale. What is distress sale? Selling under unfavorable conditions or selling commodities at a cheaper rate because of the various reasons, right? So sometimes you might have noticed in the newspaper some farmers throw their commodities on the roads like milk or tomatoes because they're unable to because they don't, their heart doesn't accept to sell certain commodities at a cheaper rate, right? So but if you go to the private players, they'll try to procure the commodities of farmers at a cheaper and cheaper rate by saying several reasons. Okay, so by coming under the distress or stress, sometimes farmers sell their commodities at a way more cheaper rates. Okay, so that's why we need a MSP, minimum support price, so which is not guaranteed under the private players. Okay, and who, by the way, who announces MSP, right? The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs headed by Prime Minister. This is very important, right? It is announced by the Cabinet Committee of Economic Affairs. It is headed by or chaired by the Prime Minister. Announces MSP for various crops at the beginning of each sowing season. It's not the end of the sowing season, but in the beginning of each sowing season, in the beginning itself, right? So we have already three sowing seasons, right? Kharif, Rabi and Zaid. Okay, so in the beginning of three seasons, the central government announces the MSP based on the recommendation of the Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices. Please remember this. Who recommends this MSP? It is recommended by Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices, CACP. So how does it decides the pricing? So it decides on the recommendation of or the formula, right? Swaminathan Committee formula. On the basis of Swaminathan Committee formula, the Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices recommends MSP to Cabinet Committee of Economic Affairs, which is headed by Prime Minister. So that announces the MSP. Okay. So what are the factors that are taken into consideration for fixing MSP, right? The CACP takes into account demand and supply, cost of production, prices, price trends in market, both domestic and international prices, and intercrop price parity, terms of trade between agriculture and non-agriculture, a minimum of 50% as the margin over cost of production, and likely implications of MSP on consumers of that product. So this is very, very important from your preliminary point of view, by the way. So please, these facts, remember, try to remember these facts. So since they are very important from your preliminary exam point of view. So these are the facts which need to understand for this particular topic. That is, what is MSP, who announces MSP, and what are the factors that are taken into consideration for fixing MSP. So let me tell you, this topic is very important because farmers for almost 6 months they have been protesting against this, but this is one of the major contentious issues in the recently passed agricultural acts. Let's discuss the second topic, that is shun vaccine nationalism, says UNGA, that is United Nations General Assembly President elect. Let's see first of all, what is this vaccine nationalism, right? Vaccine nationalism means when a country manages to secure doses of vaccines for its own citizens or residents and prioritizes its own domestic markets before they are made available in other countries, it is known as vaccine nationalism. Okay, so this is done through pre-purchase agreements between the governments and vaccine manufacturers. For example, United States, United Kingdom, Japan and European Union, which are developed countries or developed nations, have spent tens of billions of dollars on deals with vaccine frontrunners such as Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, etc., even before their effectiveness is proven, right? Since they have a lot of money, they are entering into pre-purchase agreements, right? Until and unless these companies supply these medicines to the developed countries, they are not going to distribute or manufacture the medicines for the developing or underdeveloped countries. Okay, so is this good? No, this is not good, right? Because why this is not good? Because this is a harmful for equitable access to vaccines. Just because they are rich, they can easily procure the medicines. What about the poor countries, for example, Asia and African countries, right? Okay, so that's why this vaccine nationalism is harmful for the eradication of pandemic, right? So let's see about UNGA. What is UNGA? UNGA means United Nations General Assembly. It is a main deliberative policy making and representative organ of United Nations. What is the member states? What are the member states? There are almost 193 member states in UNGA, that is United Nations General Assembly. And how the president has been elected here? The president elected for every year, each year. Okay, president elected for each year by assembly to serve 1 year term. Okay, so the presidency rotates. It rotates annually between the 5 geographic groups. Okay, that is African, Asian Pacific, East European, Latin American and Caribbean, and Western European and other states. Now the current president is from Asia Pacific. He is from Maldives. His name is Abdullah Shahid. Okay, just recently got elected as the president of UNGA, and India also supported him, right? So how are the decisions taken in UNGA? Most important decisions, for example, peace and security or admitting a member, so like that kind of issues are decided on the basis of 2/3 majority. Most important issues. So when it comes to other issues, the decision will be arrived by simple majority. So there are two kinds of majorities in the UNGA, that is 2/3 majority, that is applicable for most important issues, for example peace and security and admitting a member, okay, and others by simple majority. Do we have veto in General Assembly? No veto or binding power like UNSC, that is United Nations Security Council. So there is no veto or binding power in the UNGA. So these are the facts which are important for your examination point of view, by the way, right? So try to remember this vaccine nationalism may be important from your mains point of view also. Okay. Let's discuss the third topic, that is Twitter efforts on to comply with new IT rules. As you know that in 2018, in order to tackle the rising uh, child pornography content or rape and gang rape images in the social media, right? So the Supreme Court has suggested the government of India to frame necessary guidelines to eliminate them from the social media platforms. Even the Rajya Sabha ad hoc committee, which was formed in 2020, also noticed the alarming issue of pornography on social media and its effects on children and society as a whole. So it also recommended for enabling identification of the first origin of such content. First origin of such content, who actually uploaded that, because you know that you don't know that once somebody uploads it and it goes on and goes on and goes on, you don't even know who uploaded it. Sometimes in order to find it out, find him or find that particular, it's very difficult for us, so we need to go to WhatsApp or YouTube or any Google to find out that. So but under the current rules of this social media gains, they won't allow us to disclose the information because of the privacy of customers, right? So that's why in order to tackle this issue, Indian government has framed new IT rules for social media platforms, for digital news and OTT platforms. When it comes to social media platforms, it said that the social media platforms must identify first originator, that is first originator of the content that authorities consider anti-national. Whoever puts up something anti-national or child pornography or anything, so the social media platform must tell us who initiated that or who uploaded that content. Okay, and at the same time, appointment of grievance officer to resolve complaints in 15 days. Okay, at the same time, file monthly complaints report on complaints receiving an action taken by these social media platforms. When it comes to digital news, they must follow Press Council of India or Cable TV Networks Regulation Act norms and self-regulatory bodies to oversee adherence to code ethics. Okay, and INB, that is Information and Broadcast Ministry, to form panel oversight mechanism. Okay, these are the new rules for social media and digital news platforms, and at the same time OTT platforms are also given certain rules according to the new IT rules. That is, number one, self classification content into 5 age groups. Categories: U universal, that means universal, U by A 7+ years, and U by A 13+, U by A 16+, and A. So you know that, right? When you watch a movie, you will see that certification. So in the same way, OTT platforms must come up with a certification, self-classify content. At the same time, parental unlocks for any content classified as U by A 13+ and above, right? And the age verification mechanism for content classification as a adult. So these are the new rules which were given by Indian government to the social media platforms. They were asked to comply with them. So they're getting a little difficult because of the privacy norms in order to ensure the privacy of customers. So they are a bit making it late. That's why Twitter is already putting certain efforts, okay, making some efforts to comply with the new rules. So it has asked one more week, some more time to comply with these rules. Okay, otherwise they said that if they don't comply with these rules within a time frame, India is going to take action against this social media platforms in its capacity. Okay, the next topic is pilot training for 2 women army officers. Okay, so what is the significance of this news? This news tells us about, for the first time in Army Aviation Group, 2 women officers have been selected to undergo helicopter pilot training, right? They would be trained at Army Aviation School in Nasik, and they'll be inducted in the duties by July 2022. So what is the significance of this? It's very significant because till now women officers were assigned only ground duties in Army Aviation Corps. This is the first time that Indian Army, right? First time they inducted two women army officers into the Army Aviation Corps. Okay, so what is the background to it? The background is that in 2022 SC judgment, you know that, right, citing some of the reasons like pregnancy, child care, on social and psychological issues in the armed forces, Army denied admitting women on these grounds. But in 2020 judgment of Supreme Court, it said that it highlighted that denial of equal opportunity to women under Article 15 of Fundamental Rights, and at the same time it asked army to be gender sensitive and promote women empowerment and to treat the women equally with the fellow male officers. So in order to comply with this, the Indian Army has been taking certain initiatives to promote women empowerment and gender equality in the armed forces. So this topic comes under social issues, and it's very, very important from your mains point of view. Next topic, Pake Tiger Reserve. Pake Tiger Reserve contingency workers go on strike. So because of the COVID-19 situation, they were not paid salaries. So that's why they were protesting against it. But this is not that important for us. What is important is Pake Tiger Reserve is very important from your preliminary background. Let me tell you, this kind of national reserves and national parks or reserves are very, very important from your preliminary point of view, right? Let us discuss about it. So this Pake Tiger Reserve was declared as Tiger Reserve in 1919, 2000. Where does it lie? It lies in the foothills of eastern, right? Eastern Himalaya, not western or southern Himalayas, but it is in the eastern Himalaya in the East Kameng district of Arunachal Pradesh. Please remember this state, Arunachal Pradesh, in the East Himalaya side. It belongs to Arunachal Pradesh. It is also known as Pakui Tiger Reserve. Sometimes UPSC may ask such kind of questions. Recently, for example, Pakui Tiger Reserve, recently seen in news, belongs to which of the following states, right? Assam, Arunachal Pradesh. They ask some like that. Otherwise, they may give some options also, 1, 2, 3, and they ask you to consider the following statements, right? So try to remember this. Falls under it lies in the foothills of eastern Himalayas, okay, eastern side of the Himalayas in the Arunachal Pradesh state, right? It falls within the eastern Himalaya biodiversity hotspot, okay. So it is home to what is the significance of this Pake Tiger Reserve? It's not only a tiger reserve, but also it is home to over 2,000 species of plants, 300 species of birds, 400 species of mammals, and 30 species of amphibians, and 36 species of reptiles. So, and one more thing is very, very important here. It is known for its amazing sightings of 4 residents of hornbill species. There are almost 9 types of hornbill species in India, right? So what is 9 species? Oh, yeah, India is home to 9 species of hornbill species, right? So what is this hornbill species? This is very important from exam point of view. The great hornbill is the state bird of Arunachal Pradesh and Kerala. Okay, it's a bird. Hornbill is a bird. It is a state bird of Arunachal Pradesh and at the same time Kerala also. And it is vulnerable under IUCN Red List. Okay, so and there is a Hornbill festival celebrated in Nagaland named after the bird hornbill, which is most revered and admired bird for the Nagas, right? This hornbill bird is significant from Nagas perspective, and it's a state bird of Arunachal Pradesh. At the same time Kerala also. Sometimes they may ask, UPSC asks such kind of questions also in the preliminary examinations. So these facts are very, very important, right? That is Pake Tiger Reserve or Pakui Tiger Reserve, which is in Arunachal Pradesh, which lies in the foothills of eastern Himalaya. So it is also famous for its biodiversity. Okay, so and there's also one more thing, that is Nameri Tiger Reserve, which is adjacent to the Pake Tiger Reserve. Sometimes UPSC asks this kind of things because we need to connect the dots. right? It is UPSC, by the way, Unpredictable Public Service Commission. So you have to be ready, right? So Nameri Tiger Reserve, declared in 1999, 2000, same year, is located in the foothills of eastern Himalayas in the Sonipat of Assam. Which state is it? Assam. Okay. So it is one of the interstate border with Arunachal Pradesh. The Pake Tiger Reserve of Arunachal Pradesh adjoins it on its northeastern point. Right? So this is the connection, because Pake Tiger Reserve shares connected to Nameri Tiger Reserve. Okay, and the river Jia Bareli, the tributary of Brahmaputra River, with its tributaries, the Nameri, Upper Dikorai and Bor Dikorai, flow through the reserve. Besides tiger, the reserve is also home to Samba, Barka deer, wild boar and bison. So these details are very important, right? Sometimes UPSC asks what are the rivers which flows from this tiger reserves. Okay, so these topics are very important, and these two are interrelated, right? Sometimes UPSC, in order to divert you, may ask the Nameri Tiger Reserve. Okay, because this is already directly in use, so they may ask something adjacent to it. So that's why we need to be ready, right? So we must prepare for all the angles, from all the angles. Next topic, Quad vaccine partnership goals still on track. US. So in order to tackle the COVID situation in the, you know that, right? India is the worst affected country in the second wave. So in order to tackle it, Quad vaccine partnership goals still on track. US officials, right? So let me tell you what is Quad. Quad is a quadrilateral security dialogue, which includes India, right? Japan, US and Australia. 4 countries. There are 4 countries in it. India, US, Australia and Japan are the members of this Quad. Right? So it was first initiated by Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in 2007, but it was not got materialized then, and again again it was revived in 2012, right? So again Shinzo Abe floated this idea, right? So after a decade in 2007, even that time also it was not got materialized because of their political reasons. But when the idea was initiated in 2007, but it was got materialized in 2017 after a decade. So it includes Japan, US, India and Australia, right? All these 4 countries are democratic countries, right? All these are democratic countries. And what is the common aim of these countries? The common aim of this country's Quad is free, open and prosperous Indo-Pacific region. So especially the major concern of these countries are China, the rise of China, right? Rise of China and China geostrategic and geo-economic, geopolitical policies impacting the Indo-Pacific region, right? So in order to tackle the China, these 4 countries came together to form they came together and formed quadrilateral security dialogue. So that's why China criticized it as a military Asian NATO. It called Quad as a Asian NATO. So recently in 2020 there was a question that Quad was started as a security organization, but now slowly it's turning into an economic organization. So this question may be important from your preliminary point of view. From the mains point of view, the UPSC has already asked this question in 2020, right? So this is very important.